This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hey everybody, it's Judith Mancini today, and I am Judith Mancini. Welcome, thank you for joining us. ICYMI, in case you missed it. There's a lot going on this morning on the news, and this is one woman's opinion. Trump is on trial. It's been on the news forever. I just want you to take this in and see what you think of it. President Trump has been charged with 91 charges. Manson, who killed all those people and was the creepiest of the creeps, was only charged with 5. President Trump, if convicted of everything, which I know he's not going to be because he hasn't committed any of these things, and he doesn't even have a crime in this particular trial. It's ridiculous. He would end up serving so many life sentences, and yet in our justice system today, these people burn down buildings, they shoot police officers, and all of a sudden they're out on some kind of bail, some kind of forgiveness. This is disgusting. You know this could happen to you. So you better keep that in mind. This is ridiculous. All they're interested in is hearing about the sordid side of Stormy Daniels' sex life. I'm sick of it. All right, so that's what's going on. But you also need to check, and you check Newsmax, you check Fox, you check CNN, you check MSNBC. All they're doing is trying to besmirch his name and make him look like he's something horrible. But look and see, you will find out that the ex-wife of one of the top people on the prosecuting team, and he's in DA Bragg's office, his wife donated thousands and thousands of dollars to the Democrats and the Biden people. This is crazy. The judge hates Trump and has admitted it off camera. His daughter is making hundreds of thousands, if not more, money by covering this and selling things to the Democrats and raising money. This is ridiculous. This is not a trial of any crimes. This is trying to keep Trump from running for president. Well, you know what? Even if he's behind bars, I'm voting for Trump. I don't know if you can. I don't know if they'll take him off of every ballot. I have no idea. But this is not right. And I don't want it to happen to me just because I'm talking about it on my podcast. And believe me, I've already been barred nearly by YouTube for mentioning the word vaccine. So I know they're watching me to see if I say anything that I shouldn't say in their opinion. All right, let's move on. I want to tell you, if you took Zantac because your tummy was upset all the time, unfortunately, it has been found to cause cancer in some people. So I want you to contact Pfizer for a lawsuit against them right away for Zantac and see if you can get some medical bills paid or what have you. And I pray to God that it didn't hurt you. although I already have a friend who has such problems that he told me he thought he had cancer. And at the last I spoke to him, he had not been to the doctor. And that was before the suit was settled. The other thing I want to mention is Biden's disrespecting Israel and not giving them any help. This is disgusting. I don't have any prejudice, but that's how I was raised in my life. I don't know how people can have prejudices against the human race. I don't get any of that. But I do know one thing. I don't want to see what happened in the 30s happen over here with another Holocaust. And it's already started. If you don't know that that wasn't the beginning of a Holocaust when they flew down on those winged things into the stadium at the concert and massacred those people, you're wrong. And then they went into the kibbutz and killed others, killing babies, setting them on fire, raping women, mutilating people. That is the beginning of another Holocaust. To go into temples here in the United States and shoot people, that's a little part of it too. And now these protesters on college campuses are mostly not even students. They're paid anarchists, paid demonstrators. Wake up, people. This is not the America I grew up in, and it's not the America my children grew up in. This is an America I don't know, and I don't like it. So when you go and you vote, you better think about everything that's going on, because you'll be next if you vote for the wrong person. Okay. On a happier note, I'm wishing all the mothers a happy Mother's Day this week. Sometimes it's not easy to be a mother. You have to raise your children to believe in the right things, believe in God or a spiritual being, and you need to be kind to people. That's the most important thing. Don't let your kids be on the computer all the time. Don't let them go to a college that is doing what they're doing, disrupting people and trying to persuade them to be against the United States. Thank your mother for all she does for you. She's very important. And if some of you think you didn't have a mother when you were growing up, I'm sorry, because my mother had polio. She was a polio victim, but we spoke often and I learned a lot from her, even though she didn't raise me. So here's to all the mothers and even the mothers like us that work so hard. So with that, we're going to bring our special guest on, Jamie Lynn. She is a wonderful woman who has a chronic disease that she is handling, but she is still doing unbelievable things with her life and her kids and everybody else. So with that, Juan, please bring on Jamie. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm doing well, Judith. How are you?
Perfect. Thank you. I love the page in your office there. Is that your office?
Oh, thank you. No, this is actually my dining room, but my husband loves still lives.
I love those colors in my new little condo that my husband and I bought. I did my office with bright colors like that, and the trim is in that color. Yeah. Makes you happy.
It's a pretty color. It does. I don't see any reason why your house needs to be like boring. So
I agree. Or just all white, unless you have lots of neat things to hang on your walls or something. So let's get into this. You have a very full life, and you discovered recently, was it recently you discovered you had EDS and your connective tissue problem?
I was recently officially diagnosed, but we've suspected I had this condition for probably about 10 years. But it takes a very long time to get officially diagnosed. And I have a lot of other conditions as well. So there's been a lot of specialists along the way. But Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS, is probably the connecting disease that makes all the others happen as well.
Do you mind giving us a list of what you've discovered you are fighting after
Sure.
you discovered this?
It's kind of a long list. I don't want to bore everyone, but
no,
essentially
this is not boring. People ask about these things all the time.
So EDS is a connective tissue disorder, and it has a lot of comorbid conditions. So I think the ones that people are most familiar with are probably POTS, which is something that a lot of people who have had COVID are dealing with. And then also mast cell.
Wait, we need to get out of the initials. What is POTS?
So POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and it's a form of...
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
What does that do?
So POTS is a form of what's called dysautonomia, which means that your regulatory, like circulatory system is not functioning properly. So the system in your body that controls things like your temperature, the way that your blood circulates, how fast your blood circulates, is not properly functioning. And so that is something that can cause things like dizziness. Some people have it so severe that they faint frequently. It can cause things like severe temperature fluctuations. So for me, I get very, very cold or very, very hot. You have a hard time dealing with hot temperatures. So it just generally makes people kind of uncomfortable. But it is one of the reasons why I walk with a mobility aid, because I do have days where I am very dizzy. And I have a son, so I don't want to be falling in public or anything like that. So that is one of the conditions. The next is called mast cell activation syndrome. Or MCAS for short. And it is a form of mastocytosis. So mastocytosis is a very rare disease, and MCAS is kind of a subcategory of that. And basically what MCAS means is that the person's body reacts to allergens that they're not actually allergic to. So when I go to get an allergy test, I come back with things like mold or dander, things like that, but and seasonal allergies. But I'm actually allergic to things like gluten, dairy. I'm trying to think of some other bug bites I'm very severely allergic to. And the reason for that is, for whatever reason, my body overreacts to allergen stimulus. Our bodies are always attacked by allergens all day long. We encounter mold, we encounter pollen, we encounter perfume scents and things. But people with MCAS or mastocytosis, their body sees all of those things as threats. So it's always in a higher alert mode, and it's causing that response. So I can have a severe allergic reaction to pretty much anything I encounter. And it can be different from day to day. So tomorrow I eat, chicken, fish regularly. I could eat chicken tomorrow with the seasoning I always use and have an allergic reaction. So there's really no telling what is going to cause that. But so that's one of the other conditions. Yeah, but yes. And the others, so with the way that Ehlers-Danlos syndrome impacts your body, it's a full system disease. So it causes things like arthritis, spinal degeneration, migraines. Yeah, I have all of the reproductive disorders, PCOS, endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibromyalgia. So it kind of just creates a trickle down effect of things. And I also have anemia as well. And as you may have seen recently, I've been diagnosed with autism, which is another very comorbid condition.
That shocked me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're fighting all these other things, and then to be diagnosed with autism, it didn't seem to fit in. It was just out of the blue.
Yeah. So with autism, the reason I went and got tested is because my son is exhibiting symptoms and signs of autism. My son is 4 now. And as I started reading about autism, because I was generally familiar with it, but I had no reason to research it thoroughly. I started to see some of the same struggles that I have. And when I started researching autism and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is my primary disease, it's like something like 60-70% of people with EDS also have autism. And they don't know why. It may be because your brain also has connective tissue. Everything has connective tissue. And so it could be the way that your brain is made. I don't really know.
Let me ask a question here. So with your disease, you can have autism.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you figured out you had autism. But what about people who had children with autism? Can they then have your disease and a doctor wouldn't diagnose that?
So I'm not sure about the reverse, but I do know that oftentimes children with autism exhibit higher levels of physical pain, and they can be hypermobile. So it can be a comorbid condition. And Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is something that right now they consider it to be rare because, before there wasn't a lot of research about it. Practitioners were not very well versed in it, but I suspect that it is not as rare as we think it is. So I think that
I think you're right.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that children with autism need to be considered as tested for. But at the same time, you have to exhibit the symptoms of the exact physical, the physical components of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it's harder to diagnose children with EDS because one of the criteria is hypermobility, which means that you can, move your joints and things far beyond the normal range. And children can do that anyway because they're little and they're bendy. And so it's hard to say, yes, this child is extra hypermobile as opposed to a normal child who maybe isn't, because a lot of children are flexible anyway.
So like a child that displays double jointedness with their hand, that could be a sign.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say, my husband calls them party tricks. If your kid is displaying lots of party tricks where they're able to pop all their joints out and they can do a split and they can bend all their fingers back and, they can do, like, I can touch my back of my head to my back of my skull to my back, things like that. If they're doing that into advanced preteen, and they're also complaining of pain and things like headaches and migraines and back pain, it's absolutely worth having them looked at because it's not normal for a young child to complain regularly of pain. So if it's, so that's something people often dismiss it as growing pains. And that is a thing. But if your kid is constantly complaining of headaches or my back is always hurting or, my legs are always hurting, those are things that you want to pay attention to and try not to dismiss. I'm not saying they have EDS, but, it's just not normal for a child to regularly complain about pain. So.
Wow. So you said that you were diagnosed, but it took 5 years or more to find this. Were you constantly going to doctors and telling them your symptoms and doing blood work or other lab things, and they couldn't figure it out?
So I have been exhibiting signs of illness since I was a child. So it started out as chronic pain, back pain. I started complaining of headaches from an early age. I started complaining of stomach aches from an early age. And so initially I was written off as, she has poor posture. She's not eating well enough, or, she just has a sensitive tummy, things like that. And then when I got into my teen years, those things got worse when I, started menstruating and things. But it wasn't until I got into college, I started getting more sick. I always had chronic sinus infections and ear infections, but I really started getting sick all the time. And then when I left college, when I graduated, I had my first job was one that required very frequent travel. And that was extremely hard on my body. And I couldn't understand, why am I'm so tired. There were days when I wouldn't eat dinner. Like I'd just get home and go right to bed. And I remember my mom saying to me, like, are you sure you're not depressed? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm just really tired. I said, I really just feel exhausted, And so I started talking to one of my coworkers who is now a very good friend. And she had said to me, like, this isn't normal. She's like, it's not normal for you to have all of these symptoms. She's like, she's like, you're young. You shouldn't be feeling this sick. You shouldn't, irregular periods isn't normal. Constant pain isn't normal. Needing to go to sleep as soon as you get home isn't normal. Like, you need to start going to the doctor. So, and at first, a lot of doctors wrote me off, like, oh, you're just a little overweight. You're too stressed out.
I would think you would have gotten that a lot.
Yes.
There's serious symptoms.
Yes.
And I would think some people would just say, you're making this up.
Yes.
But it's not. It's serious.
No.
My fears about doctors, they don't listen and they're not trained in their profession through school to look for these symptoms and these rare diseases.
I think the trouble with my condition is that not doctors are trained in their specialty. So the first disorder I was diagnosed with was polycystic ovarian syndrome. And then after going, so I assumed when I was diagnosed, like, oh, this is what's causing all of my problems. I have a diagnosis, and I focused on that. I was able to get that under control, but I was still sick. I was still having the migraines, and I started having what I was calling flare-ups, which is what people call it anyway, where I would be sick for a week. I'd be just down for the count, exhausted. And I, started going to see other doctors. But the problem is they once they give you a diagnosis, that's what they're going to think about. They're not thinking about, is this diagnosis related to something else? And I don't blame doctors for that. I think that's just part of their training. But yes. I do think as somebody with a multi-system disorder, it's really important to find a doctor that thinks outside the box. So for me, I started doing a lot of research, and over time, my reproductive diseases were further defined. But I was always being sent to physical therapy. Oh, you've fallen and you've injured your back. You've sprained your ankle. You've dislocated this. And it was a physical therapist of all people who had said to me, I was 28, and she said, has anyone ever told you that you're hypermobile? And I said, no, what is that? And she said, well, it means that you can extend your joints far beyond the normal range. And I said, I have never heard of it. And so I went home and I started researching what is hypermobility, because I was curious about it. I didn't know that I always knew I could do things with my body, but I didn't know that, you always assume if I can do it, everybody can do it, especially when you're young or you're a child.
Sure.
And so I came across Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I said to my then fiance, my now husband, I said, this sounds like me. I've never heard of this before. I don't know what this is. And it wasn't until after my son was born that I really started getting sick. And I also wanted to get my diagnoses because they were genetic. I knew I probably had this genetic disorder. Now I have a child, and I wanted to make sure if I passed it down that he was getting treatment. So I went to a rheumatologist, and he was just phenomenal. He, said, yes, I think you have this disorder. And because you probably have this, you're going to need to go to genetics. You're going to need to go to an immunologist. You're going to need to go to a cardiologist. And he started sending me to all of these specialists. He wrote me referrals for all of them. Go ahead.
You're in Pittsburgh, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So are you using the university's facilities?
So I pretty much stay within UPMC. So I do use some of the university facilities. Yes.
To that, because it's one of the very best facilities in the country.
Absolutely. And I feel that younger doctors are, I'm sorry, go ahead, Judith.
I think it would be difficult in other parts of the country to have access to all the doctors you need. So
it is absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely it is. I was very fortunate to come across this doctor because he did take me very seriously. I ended up taking my husband and I sat down and basically wrote an extensive medical history of all the things that has happened to me. And I brought my husband with me because I had been so tired of being told, like, really, this has happened to you? You're so young. Like, you look so healthy. And my husband's a nurse. And so I brought him with me. And I said, I brought my husband because I'm not listened to a lot. and so he sent me to specialists that he knew were familiar with EDS and would take me seriously. And they started running tests, and all of my tests are coming back positive. So for all the various conditions.
Now, is that blood work that they did or other lab work, or how did they determine this?
It depends on the condition. So some of it was blood work. I get blood work done a lot. Some of it was bone marrow biopsy. And there are still some, I've had many MRIs and scans. I've had, bone density tests. I've had radiation tests on my bones to see if I have any abnormalities. I'm having a nerve conduction test soon. So I've had all the tests, and most of them come back with findings. But at the end of the day, I'm thankful that I came across doctors that were willing to listen and were educated. And now I have a very well-versed care team.
That is remarkable. And it's also remarkable that your husband is a nurse.
Yes.
And understand all of these things. My daughter is a nurse. She went to Duquesne to become a nurse.
Oh, yeah. Duquesne has a wonderful nursing program. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is fortuitous that you have such a strong husband helping support you through your journey through all of that. And I think that's wonderful. But also, if we may, ask you how you feel day to day and how you take care of your son, and you have a full-time job besides. Yes. How are you managing to do all of this? Because, I have friends that are growing older and I say, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. But they're really bored.
Yeah. Yes, keeping busy is definitely important. I think day to day, it honestly depends on the day. I would say, number one, I have a very supportive husband and family, and I supportive family on both sides of our family. So my husband and I are very fortunate to have a very good community within our own family. And so that's, I think, number one. And I know that that's hard. Not everyone has that. But two, I think the hardest part of having a chronic illness is that you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know how you're going to wake up. And it doesn't always matter how well you behaved from a wellness perspective the day before or the week before. So there have been times when I literally have just woken up and I am just sick. That's just how today is going to go. And then there are other times when I feel very well and I've pushed things too far from a physical perspective and I make myself sick. And that's not intentional. I'm a mom, I work, I'm young. And so trying to do a lot of things, and your body doesn't always tell you in the moment, hey, you've done too much. So I would say, from day to day, managing is a challenge. I'm actually currently on some time off from work because things have become very, very challenging. I've had a very hard year physically, and I get a lot of help from my mother and dad, and obviously my husband. My mom helps with watching our son. But I've taken some time off work so that I can A, spend time with my son, but B, I recover a little bit, give myself some time to rest and not be running from point all the way across the horizon. Right. But I think that in terms of managing things when you do have a full load, I think knowing when you need to take a break is important. I had said to my husband, I think I need a few weeks to rest. I've got to a point where my body is just tired. But I think knowing your limits is extremely important, and knowing when to ask for help and being okay with asking for help. There have been times where, I have fibromyalgia, and my fibromyalgia can make it so that I can't walk at all. And so I've called, it's not fun. I'll put it that way. And, I had to humble myself to know, like, there are times when I have physically not been able to care for my son, so I've had to call my parents and say, hey, can you please come and can he spend the night tonight? My body is not up for it today. Like, I need help. So that was a very humbling experience, becoming a mother and learning how to ask for help, because I am a fairly independent person. It's, so I think knowing your limits and actually listening to your body and listening to doctors. So yes, doctors have their limitations. They don't know everything. But they do mean it when they say, eat healthy, maintain a healthy weight, try to exercise within your capabilities. Don't, not everybody, I certainly can't run marathons. Try to keep your stress under control. Find out what that means for you. What do you need to do to manage your stress, and in doing the things that you do from a test perspective. I go to the doctors a lot, but it's because the doctors have to monitor what's going on with me. So and people it gets exhausting, but you gotta do it.
I will tell you, I had a breakdown. First of all, I don't think unless our mutual friend Janet told you, I lost my son to suicide 2.5 years ago.
I'm very sorry to hear that, Judith.
Thank you. It knocked me on my butt.
Oh, yes.
I didn't give myself time to really grieve and move forward, because I'm very busy like you are with my different philanthropies and this and that and everything else, and my podcast. And it caught up to me in the last 6 months, 8 months, something like that. I had to cancel my show twice at the last minute. Last week, I lost my voice totally because of the sandstorms down here in the desert. But also, my lymphatic system has just gone kapooey. And my husband's looking at my arms. They're all swollen and this, and my eyes are swollen. He says, what's wrong with you? Well, I put myself to bed, and everything has cleared up. I don't suggest most people do that. I've been more into the wellness and the health for many, many, many years. I owned a health magazine at one time. So I put myself to bed, and it's absolutely true. When you have these problems, you need to rest. And I think women more so than men tend to try to continue their, what we call normal everyday life. And sometimes we can't.
Yes.
And we forget that. So I'm glad to hear you've taken some time
off.
Yes,
absolutely.
Can we move on a little bit before I don't want to run out of time, because I want people to know exactly what you do. Can you tell me more about your full-time job? The one with the veterans?
So currently I am... Yes. So currently I work for a company that does primarily training and change management, and I am one of the project managers on the team. We work with a large number of government contracts and some commercial contracts, but my primary role is to lead a few of the teams and help with the development of training. So I am a trained trainer and instructional designer and project manager. And so my teams currently support the Department of Veterans Affairs and also AmeriCorps, which is another government agency. Right. And so we, help with development of training, webinar-based training. We do virtual training. We create training materials. And on my other project, we help facilitate and produce up to 450 events a year for AmeriCorps. And so that we work. Yeah. So we work with a lot of individuals. There's a lot of liaison working with the government and government contractors. And then we also do change management as well. So supporting our customers with going through the process of a change and how to help it be accepted and actually implemented across the company or across the agency, whatever it is, whatever the group is. So those are our primary roles, but that is my current full-time job.
That, and you have another full-time job because you have gotten into the wellness business, and you have been doing some marvelous reels explaining everything to everyone. Tell me about that. And are you affiliated with this wellness box? And what is that all about?
Sure. So as I started to go through my diagnoses, one of the things that I really wanted to do was find purpose in it. And I know I have a lot, I've been through a lot, I've done a lot of the research, and I felt like I have a lot of information to share, and I wanted people to feel I'm not a doctor, I'm not trained as a medical professional, but I feel like I have helpful information, if that makes sense. And so I started to start sharing my story on social media, which I'm not previously wasn't very much a social media user. And then I also was looking for another type of opportunity as my husband and I are starting to think about transitioning our lifestyle a bit. We're talking about adopting a second child where, I want to spend more time with my son. And so I started to look for other opportunities. And one that came across was the wellness box. And so essentially what this company is, and I'm a very big customer. I love their products. They are an American based company. All of their products, with the exception of, I believe, their mascara is made, and that's made in Italy, is made in the United States. And they sell everything from cleaning products, makeup, bath and body products, hair products, skin products, baby products, you name it, snacks, protein shakes, etc., essential oils. And their pledge is to provide products that work, but without the harmful ingredients. So things like formaldehyde, parabens, phthalates, those types of things. If a chemical is not, if it's proven to be harmful, they're not going to use it. If there's studies that show, hey, this causes cancer, this causes inflamed intestine, whatever it is, it's not going to get used. So many of their products are so safe that they actually are regular, they don't have to have safety caps on them, essentially, which are regulated by a government agency. So they also
that was possible.
Yes. So they don't have to have safety caps on a lot of their products because they are safe. Like if your child were to get access to them, you would still want to get them checked, but like they're not going to
keel over.
Instantly. Yeah. But they also sell, they also are affiliated with the owner is a Texas ranch owner. And so he raises Black Angus beef, and again, all American bred and raised, no antibiotics, no hormones, etc. And it's basically the best steak I've ever had in my life. So while I'm a wellness person, I'm not anti steak. I like steak, so I'm going to eat it.
So do I.
Yeah, but it's kind of ruined restaurant steaks for me, if I'm going to be very honest.
This company does everything from vitamins to actual food and cleaning products and makeup.
Yes.
And everything. Mm-hmm. How long have they been in business?
Over 35 years, I believe. So they've been around for a long time. And they're an online company. And the reason I like working with them, apart from the fact that I really like their products, is that they give you an alternative to the other stores that you might not want to be supporting. So I know that you have your very traditional American values, and that's what this company is all about. And so it gives you an alternative to going to Walmart or Target if you don't want to be supporting those types of companies. And they're selling the same types of products at a reduced, lower cost that are healthier for you. So I think that it's a great option, essentially.
So is everything warehoused there in Texas by the rancher, or is it kind of from different areas? Or
so in terms of where the warehouses are located for the products themselves, I don't know. I know some of them are in Texas, but I don't know if they span across the country or not. That I would have to research.
Manufacturing is also in Texas, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean that I'd have to check. I don't know that answer off the top of my head. But the beef products, yes, is all in Texas and processed there. So I'd have to do a little more research about where all of the manufacturing is. That I don't know off the top of my head. So, but I know some of it is in Texas at the very least.
Now, so this is like affiliate marketing. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's basically affiliate marketing.
How did you get connected with them?
So I have been, and this is going to make me sound kind of hooey, but I have been really praying a lot about opportunities and saying, hey, God, like if you're going to send me some opportunities and I'm going to be open to them and I'll try them out basically. And so I have been following different people on Instagram. And one young woman, I came across her content and I really liked it. And I clicked on her profile and she had a link that said, work with me. I didn't know what she did. And I said, well, I'll just see what she does. And that's what she does. So that's how I became.
Was that somebody named Brandy?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Her name is Trish. So she goes by, her handle is My Tinfoil Hat, I believe. So she's got a large number of followers. But I said, hey, I said to my husband, I've been saying I want to be open to new opportunities. This is something I've never done before. Some people are very successful. It's a great company. I really like their products. And he was like, well, try it out, see what happens. So
how did you try it out? You just called them up, or what did you do?
So
have you been buying from them?
How did I begin?
Were you buying their products before you decided to look?
So the way that their affiliate marketing works, it's buyer to buyer. So I connected with Trish and she sent me the information and I was able to get started with the company as a customer. So that's how, if someone were interested in learning more about the company, I think, you have my link. There is a link within my website that you can click on. It says, I think, the Wellness Box and Riverbend Ranch, which is the beef subscription. And they can click on that and send me their information and I can send them more information about the company. So they really want it to be customer word of mouth connecting because they want it to be, I'm very passionate about this product as a customer and I want you to be interested in it as well. And I want you to try it out because it's worthwhile. Yeah. And
is it lucrative for you to be doing this?
If you are, I would say it depends on how committed people are to it. So I'm just getting started. So it can become lucrative. There are people who are doing very well, and this is their primary job. Some people do it to make a little bit of extra money. Some people do it as their full-time job. So I think that it depends, just like anything else, you get what you put into it and what you want out of it. I would say, I think like 9 out of 10 people are just customers and they like the product and they stay products, they stay customers, I should say. So I think it's dependent on what you want to get out of it. But if you're just wanting to get quality products that are safe for your home. And like me, I have MCAS. And so I'm very careful about the new products that I use. And I haven't had any allergic reactions or issues with their products, which is phenomenal. Like, for example, I'm wearing their lipstick right now. My son is actually allergic to I have Bare Minerals lipstick. My son also has MCAS. He's allergic to my lipstick. So when I started realizing I would give him a kiss and he would, his face, and his face would break out. And I said, at first I'm like, what is going on? Like, I didn't realize. And then I started to make the connection. He's breaking out where I kissed him. And so, so it's crazy, I'm not trying to bash Bare Minerals. I think that
I know. I understand that. What I want to know is, can somebody just buy the product from you and not sign up for the affiliate marketing?
Yes. So the way that it would work, so say somebody is interested in the product, they can reach out to another person who is a customer. So I'm a customer. You can reach out to me and I will get you enrolled and then you can just buy.
That link. Tell everybody that link to get to you to do the Wellness Box.
Okay. Should I put it in the comments, do you think?
Sure. You can't. There it is.
Is
that it? Is that the link? Or is that the link to your, can you see it?
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
That's it, to get to you to be able to buy the product from Wellness Box.
So,
Okay.
So if somebody is interested, they can reach out to me there, and then I will get them more information. You don't have to be, being a customer does not require you to be somebody that's interested in, starting this as an income as well. I think that being a customer is fantastic. I think that there's a lot that they offer. For example, I was an avid Shakeology user, again, because I have limited ingredients I can use. And they have an equivalent to Shakeology that is half the price. So, and I was able to switch over.
Well, I want to just say this here before we run out of time. And I want you to go to this site, msha.ke/OURCONNECTIVETISSUE. That's Musha, msha.ke/our connective tissue, so that you can get a hold of Jamie Lynn. She goes by that on her reels. So if you want to find that on Facebook, you can look that up and find her. And go to this so that you can get all of her other information and access to this wellness box. She's just somebody that I just recently was told about and met, and I like her very much. And I think she's just a go-getter. And what she has done with living with this disease, well, it's the truth. And what you have done to give people with chronic disease hope and how to address it is remarkable. So I hope people go to that, and we'll follow up with that.
Thank you.
We'll have it back again. And I'm looking at the time. We're there. We're at the end of our time. Anything else you want to tell us, Jamie Lynn?
No, I really appreciate being here, Judith. And, if anyone's struggling with chronic illness and they want somebody to reach out to, please feel free to connect with me. That's why I'm sharing on social media. I really want people to know that they're not alone. So if anybody needs something, feel free to reach out. And I appreciate you having me. And it's good to see you again. Judith, we met a long time ago, and I think I was kind of a teeny baby. I was like a little kid, I think.
Something like that. That was when I lived in Pittsburgh the last time. We were at the 20th Century Club.
Yes. I remember Janet showing me all of her gardens.
Yeah, right. It's wonderful. Janet is a very talented person, and I've had her on the show.
Oh, yes.
Her books, she is a wonderful author. So it's probably time to have her back on. So that would be good. Well, Jamie Lynn,
I think so.
You.
I know she's got things in the works.
People will know. They will find it. So that's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much for being on, and thank you for all the wonderful
no
information.
problem. My pleasure.
Giving hope to everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for us to say goodbye. Remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.